And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's August 1st, 2025. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you can have a good weekend. As always, we have a lot to cover. Serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, tariffs, the job market, and some weird stuff going on today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get to it all. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at garrettk.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. And if you don't follow us on X, just put our name in and you will see it. You can follow us on the YouTube Biz TV channel also. And if you'd like to email me, just be nice. I have a ton to cover, but ladies and gentlemen, the Dow is down 542, was down 700, the S&P down 101, NASDAQ 472, NASDAQ 100 454. Advanced declines were miserable. Small caps, mid caps, you name it, they got it. Transport's another 342. Let's go through it. Just 3 days ago, and we're never that sure, but we said to you, hey, just letting you know, the transports are breaking down pretty badly. And when I do my webcasts, I am now able to show a lot more things breaking down and a lot more stocks being lost from their uptrends into tops of unknown price and time, and that the broad market was getting a little bit of headwinds. The Dow down 542, the S&P down 101, NASDAQ 472, NASDAQ 100 454. We're going to get into what I think's going on, but first some facts. The job market numbers came in. Not good. The revisions, not good. There is no doubt in my mind the economy is softening. To a bad place? I don't know. But it's softening. These are some numbers on jobs. But we also told you that some of our sampling, our little silly, stupid sampling, has been softer. We also told you that on our radio show, we email people to email us back and tell us what's happening in your city, your area, your restaurants, what you're seeing in airports, and what about your industry and your jobs. And I have been getting a lot of feedback of softness, a softer economy. But to what extent? Again, we just don't know. But I'm worried. I'm very worried. As you know, I have been very unbiased on who's running the country. We have profusely complimented them on things, but I'm worried about going off the rails. What do I mean? First off, the tariffs. Remember, the facts. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, caused a bearish market and a crash in the stock market with ridiculous amounts and high numbers of tariffs across the world. It was obviously not thought out to where they were putting like 100% tariffs on a Vietnam who makes 98% of our shoes and sneakers. So the shoes and sneaker companies were dropping 50% in 2 days. Well, over that weekend, they changed their mind. But they were forced to change their mind because of the crashing markets and an economy that was going to get in big trouble very quickly. How do we know? We asked. We saw. Commerce was stopping. And it would continue to stop because who the hell has any ability to buy products and pay 100%? So they paused. They gave exemptions up the wazoo. But in recent times, they're picking it up again. And I think the problem is ego. I think he's watched the markets gone higher and thinks he can do no wrong. But now he goes 50% on Brazil with some exemptions, not because of trade, but because he's mad how they treat the ex-president. Canada 35%. Copper this week, copper prices crashed. Try planning your business if you buy a ton of stuff with copper. So the jobs numbers come out. And you know I've complained about the jobs numbers in the past, about how small the sampling is. But last month was a very big number. This month wasn't. Let me read something to you from the president. I was just informed that our country's jobs numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee, Dr. Erica McIntyre, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the job numbers before the election to try and boost Kamala's chances of victory. This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the jobs growth in March 24 by 818,000, and then again right before the election in August and September by 101,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong. We need accurate jobs numbers. I have directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. McIntyre said there were only 73,000 jobs added, a shock. But more importantly, that a major mistake was made by a revision of 258,000 downward in the prior 2 months. The economy is booming under Trump despite, and he's talking about himself in the third person, despite a Fed that also plays games, this time with interest rates where they lowered them twice and substantially. He's firing the woman who is part of producing the jobs numbers. This is ill. This is the worst part of Donald Trump. It's the worst part of him. He's causing the economy to slow because of his tariffs, and not just tariffs, every day changing. I get these screens that have tariffs and the movement in days. It's like a lit pinball machine. And now this. But I'm not done. Apple announces they paid $800 million in tariffs last quarter, and it'll be $1.1 billion this quarter. But I thought our companies don't pay the tariffs. Oh, well, we already know the president lied about that. But I want you to think about this. You have a Republican, supposedly conservatives, that hate higher taxes, but now we're praising the fact they're bringing in $20 billion a month in taxes from our companies that is going to be passed on to the consumer, and it already is. So I'm letting you know, your handsome and buffed host. For starters, it looks like we have a near-term top in place in the market. We saw the inkling of it in the days past. Today was the confirmation, we believe. Up next, we'll continue along this line. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So, this is the worst part of the president. He's the opposite of what we tell you a president should do. Well, half of the opposite. What have we told you? Lower taxes. Check. Minus. Less regulations. Check. Strong on crime. Check. Back Israel and Jews that are being threatened on college campuses. Check. Why check minus on taxes? He's raising taxes. And when they tell you $28 billion last month, that came out of our asses. This country. Proven. So I'm worried. They've also said they expect $7 trillion to be raised in tariffs in 10 years. You're telling me we're going to have $7 trillion in higher taxes? We should have just hired Kamala Harris. That's what she wanted to do. Just not through tariffs. So let me just state, I don't know how this is going to end up because I don't know what the president's going to do next. I don't know what the outcome's going to be because I don't know what the president's going to say next. I don't know where it's going to go because they did Liberation Day. They crashed the market into the weekend. And on Monday, they paused. Though they did it on Wednesday because it was leaked on the Monday. So anything's possible. But he seems he's putting his feet down. We'll see. But back on the market. Rough day. The major indices that had been just sweetly running up the 21-day moving average crashed through them today. Which, by the way, we knew was going to eventually happen. But it was icky. Do I think there's more? Guess. Yes. Yeah. How much more? You know the line. I don't know. What do? Take it day by day. When I do my scans this weekend, I've already started, I am going to look to see how many stocks were lost. What do I mean by lost? The belief that they have totally topped and they are no longer a tailwind for the market. Not necessarily a headwind, but potentially a headwind. And we'll let more cards come out of the deck. And we'll keep you in touch. But looks to me a classic near-term top in the market. It's not only here, but around the globe. I'm noticing the German DAX that broke the 50-day moving average 4 days ago, falling even more. As I go through other indices across the globe, tops in place of unknown price, unknown time. And what we do again, and we will babysit it and let more cards come out. The big worry is he puts his feet down. I do not believe, listen carefully, Where these tariffs are right now, not sure the economy can stand. And I know there's a lot of people saying, well, we can get rid of it, but he's going to stay at 10 to 15% tariffs. And that's cool. I don't think it's cool. Yeah, I think they can be negotiated. I've told you that. Yeah, I think they can be cheated on. I told you that. Yeah, they can be worked out. I told you that. But by who? Walmart can. I'm not sure Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob can. And then there's this. I want you to listen to me carefully. Let me explain a tariff. A company here imports a snow globe. You know, a snow globe. They pay $10 for it. At just 15%, they now pay $11.50 for it. They charge you $15. Instead of making $5, they only make $3.50. But that's not the whole story, because there's a cost. That $5 includes, maybe they have stores, rent, electricity, delivery charges, trucks, and gas. Employees, remember those? You pay them. This is what is known as margin squeeze in corporate America. And what have I told you about stock markets? They love expanding margins. They don't love contracting margins. Tariffs potentially contract margins. And he's putting 35% on Canada, 50% on Brazil, 25 here, 30 here, 20 there, 15 there, 10 there. My head is on a swivel because it's changing every day. And you think it's no big deal because you have not seen it yet. But I can promise you, you will eventually see it. You'll go into restaurants and there'll be a tariff tax. You think I'm kidding? So I'm less than thrilled. I'm rooting for him. We don't take any joy. I'm rooting for him. But this is Banana Republic-like, firing a stats chief on the jobs report. Last month at a big jobs number, he was happy. This one's bad. This is Banana Republic-like. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. We'll keep you up to date on it. We wish we had better things to say. What else happened today? Gold. We'll get to that in a second. What went up today? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And for all you people who love Trump that's about to email me, we do not have Trump derangement syndrome. We compliment him more than we castigate. We call balls and strikes, kids. And I will promise you, if he continues along this route, it may affect your job and your money. You got that? Gold was up today. Why would gold be up today? Well, the dollar was overbought after the recent move, but the dollar got hit hard today on the weakening outlook and the thought process that the Fed is definitely going to lower rates now. The 10-year yield plunged. a whopping 1.4 today, down to 4.22%, which means it went from 4.36 to 4.22 in one day. That is a huge drop. And what does a plunging yield help? Home builders, which had got hit recently and bounced today. Home builders. What else bounced today? Drugs. Why would drugs be up today? Well, you're probably taking a little more Xanax, but no, really, they're defensive. Kimberly-Clark was up today. Pepsi was up today. Coke was up today. Johnson & Johnson was up today. Defensive issues. Because when the market gets a little defensive, it buys up the defensive. What else are we seeing now? And you're welcome. We warned you that all the bullcrap, no sales stuff, we don't know how far, how long, or when, but they will all eventually go back to where they came from. Bunch of them are getting blasted now. Absolutely blasted. What else? And I think this is of import. We have been harping. Avoid United Health. Avoid managed care / HMO stocks. Though, Humana had a nice move on earnings this week. Still way, way down. United Health dropped another 15% this week. $43. And amazingly, this stock was $606 on April 11th. It's $237 today. This had been a stalwart in the markets. A stalwart. But back to the margins. What has come out is that they, very much more than everybody else, were denying claims that others wouldn't deny. Amongst other things, they got the Justice Department with a criminal investigation on them because of all this. If they're going to make amends, what are they going to have to do? It's called margin contraction. What do we tell you happens to stocks when margins contract? 1 + 1 = 2. And if it's happening to United Health, well, guess what? Centene was $57 before earnings in July. It's $25.91 today, more than 50% down. I mean, by the way, you may not know this. These are some holy crap moments. Cigna, $338 5 weeks ago, $262 today. Elevance, ELV, was $567 10 months ago. It's $274 today. There's a 50% drops. This ain't no hill for a climber. This ain't Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob selling. It's margin contraction of an industry. And of course, in sympathy, other insurance stocks are not having a great go of it right now. We have told you to avoid the whole insurance complex from Aflac down to Voya. And they've been under pressure. And we'll keep coming at you because we told you recently, the auto dealers. We just recently told you the transports. And by the way, let's see, I think just this week, if I am correct, This is not coming up correct. Well, let's just say the transport started the week at 16,364. It closed the week at 15,104. Yeah, I got it. 7.7% drop in the companies that move everything. Quite muy importante. So, just letting you know. On today's drop, we're already gauging what ain't dropping, but they pretty much got a lot of things today. Though I must tell you, modest losses in some of those energy names like GEV and VST. Modest. Quite modest. And some other ones I'm going to be looking at. What was interesting to me today, Microsoft. Remember they gapped it up yesterday and we warned. Gapped it up at 555. It's back to 524 already. And a beautiful gap in Meta yesterday. That's not going to hold in this market. Dropped $23 today. We'll keep a close eye on it. Why? We love companies that gap to the upside. They came after banks today. And advanced declines, 11 up, 32 down on the NASDAQ, 13 up, 29 down on the New York. You ready for this? More new yearly lows on the New York than new yearly highs, and on the NASDAQ, 5 times as many. Ladies and gentlemen, that's some holy crap statistics. We'll head into next week, and we'll see what's next out of the president, because as we have told you, it's too much. It's too much of him. And may I state for the record, a little bit of crazy. You're firing somebody who puts out statistics on jobs and call them liars and cheaters. The month after they put out a number of 250,000 that you praised. You know what that does to someone's credibility? You know what it does to somebody's credibility? I'll leave it at that. We wish him well. We're rooting for him. But it's getting silly. And I'm worried. And now the job market. And now the job market. And may I repeat that? And now the job market. Again, we'll keep you on top of it. Without agenda, ulterior motive, or bias. You know where we stand. We stand on your side. Personally, we couldn't give a crap about any of them. Professionally, we must watch them closely. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, and whatever else. Is this the one only Investor's Edge? And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So I mentioned Apple and their tariffs, but they also reported earnings. And earnings were accelerating a little bit, and the stock was up $4 early. Finished down $5. Do you know why? I think we'll hear a little bit more of this. Tim Cook came out and said that the numbers were skewed and front-loaded because everybody was worried about the tariffs, so they bought first, but now things are slowing again. Apple stock has been on a versus basis, terrible. And we have been telling you to avoid it. Topped out at 260, it's getting near 200. And little other worry about Apple. Their next big thing, we're being told, is a flip phone. Really? Didn't the flip phone go the way of the dodo bird? And I'm hearing it's going to cost $2,000. Really? We'll see how it goes. That's Apple. Again, people were worried about tariffs, that they would have to pay a bunch higher on the iPhone. So buy now before the tariffs. And there's the worry about the economy. Last quarter's GDP was 3. But how much was that front-loaded? My answer, I don't know. But based on what Apple is saying, it doesn't take a reach to be thinking that everything was good before, and now that buying power gone. Again, I don't know. But we do know what Apple said. Things to ponder, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I had the president's ear. I know he wouldn't listen, even if I did. But I can help the man out if he was to listen, big time. I am a lot smarter than him. A lot smarter than him on the tariffs. I would be able to set him straight on the tariffs. But he wouldn't listen. And anybody who does disagree with him gets pounded into oblivion. What else? Kamala was on the Colbert Show last night, and let me just tell you, I had a 4 p.m. flight up to the Northeast yesterday. I originally had a 7 p.m., but I knew there was weather, so I took the 4 p.m., and I ended up, my flight left at about 10:45 p.m., so 6 hours and 45-minute delay, and on the airplane I watched Kamala. As unthrilled as I am with President Trump, this woman's a nightmare. What a lightweight. What a lightweight. And Colbert is just pure nausea. Pure nausea. Might as well have given her a back rub. But she's a lightweight. Uninspiring. Can't put sentences together. Simple questions to answer about who's leading the Democratic Party that she can't answer. Dodged a bullet, if you ask me. Especially on the border, which Trump gets A+++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++ minus, 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 minus. But anyway, I watched that and I was like, I'm sitting on the plane. I'm like, huh? Couldn't believe it. But back on the president, he should be listening to me on the tariffs. He should be listening to me. They're causing a little turmoil, and they can cause a lot more if he doesn't take down these tariffs. And if he thinks the economy is thrilled with 15%, An economy that's used to not. We'll see. I'm in hopes. If in a year from now he takes in $20 billion a month and pays down the debt, and we got 3% growth, he'll get the handshake, the hug, and the applause. I'm not so sure. In other news, it's NFL season, ladies and gentlemen. Hall of Fame game yesterday, and I had no idea Antonio Gates was not in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest tight ends. What do they wait for? You know, these Hall of Fames, they wait for people to die before they put them in, which really pisses me off. Anyway, it's football season. I'm not hopeful on the Giants. I think they're going to have a great defense. I'm not so sure about the offense. I got to tell you, if they get 6 wins, I'd be happy. Anything above that, boy, oh boy, I'd be thrilled. Buffalo looks pretty good, if you ask me. We'll follow it closely, and I'm back in Fantasy League this year, ladies and gentlemen. That all said, you have a great weekend. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like I do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Good night, all. Bye-bye.